Hey! Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Wildlands Zoo. This week we're going to take a wander through everything we have already built over the last couple of months and see where we are now that we, as of last episode, finished our South American area. Now before we jump on in and as the camera draws its way back and we get a lovely aerial shot of the zoo so far, if you enjoy the video at any point today, please tippy tap that like button. It helps me out more than you can ever know. Today's engagement emoji will be anything you wish, but pop something in the comments below, all for the sake of engagement. And with that complete, let's jump on in to our walkthrough of the zoo. Now, I'm not going to bore your ears off with an audio narrated tour. We've done a lot of that in the previous videos. Today, instead, I want to take this opportunity just to have a conversation with all of you that have enjoyed watching Wildlands Zoo and update you on what's going to happen going forward. Now, firstly, just to take the opportunity just to thank everybody that has subscribed to the channel so far. We've grown so quickly. I had no idea that we could get this far this quick, and I'm really happy that we have. It does come with a bit of responsibility to keep pushing out some quality content for you all, and that's partly why I've decided today to make a bit of a change on how we do Wildlands and Planet Zoo as a whole on the channel. One of our first big announcements for this video is that this is the end of Season 1. And that's not to say that Wildlands is going anywhere, it really isn't, but it does give me the opportunity just to take a week or two back from visiting Wildlands, at least on camera, and to renovate. And the big plan is to go through and literally rip most of this apart that we've already built and just add copious buckets of detail. It's something I've been thinking about doing for a while, and the recent trip over to Chester Zoo kind of confirmed it, and that is that there is not enough level of detail in these builds to satisfy where I would like it to be, nor to represent what we're going to build as we go forward in Season 2. With that in mind, I will still be popping a couple of other Planet Zoo projects out on the channel in the meantime. And then when we next return to Wildlands, it will be very different to as you see it here. So this video very much stands as a little bit of a reminder of what was before we see what is to come. But that's not all. I would still love to hear your opinion down in the comments below on what you prefer. Do you prefer something that is more fantasy based, that follows the idea of Planet Zoo as a game? Or would you prefer something that was more representative of a real life zoo? Let me know in the comments below, and all feedback is welcome, and I really would like to hear how you would like the zoo to evolve over time. Now, all of that said, there is certainly things that I absolutely love about how we've built some of this. So this entrance hall here, lovely and big, nice and airy. We never really did get round to that gift shop though, did we? We probably should get one of those built in. We also should change up some of our entrance habitat. So Oscar there is dying out to be moved to another building and get a mate. And I think that may also be on the cards as part of our renovation. There's also a lot I took from my trip, which was a lot of times the Planet Zoo and the franchise restrictions can sometimes be taken a little bit too literally. A lot of the animals that I saw while I was visiting a couple of zoos, in fact, was that they had a lot more habitat built around them. So showcase animals were at the center of their own building, but within that building was built in other habitats and other exhibits that link in to the origin of that animal. And while you're there to see the showcase animal, you're actually seeing about 6 to 10 other animals as well. Now, sadly, such a huge amount of my inspiration pictures come in the form of walkthrough aviaries and a lot of bird life, and as we probably all know by now because there's been more than enough videos about it, it's unlikely that we will see birds in Planet Zoo, at least Planet Zoo 1. However, I do want to incorporate that design ethos of having that walkthrough experience for the guests, and as part of that renovation, really turn it into what the guests would like to see, or what you would like the guests to see. And that kind of means that most areas, much like our insect house here on the screen, will need a bit of a revamp. They're very straight, they're very open, and we're kind of working with Planet Zoo's pathing system, so there is a limit as to what we can do, but at the same time, a little bit more variety and a little bit more visitor experience can be taken into account. Now, as we wander through our wonderful insect house here, that's enough about the changes coming. You will see that in a future video. Let's have a quick talk about what we've done so far. So we've got our wonderful walkthrough insect house, and this is still absolutely churning through the money and keeping this zoo afloat. The original idea of this place was just to earn us enough money to build whatever we wanted to build, and it has certainly done that. The upkeep is relatively low and it trundles along in the background, but couldn't have done it without this wonderful sort of starting building. However, this does lead us through the back here into what is now an abandoned reptile house, and that was where we kept our caiman and our South American exhibit animals ahead of moving them into their new building. So this area will certainly be retooled and reused into something a lot more useful. I'm thinking a tropical butterfly house, which I absolutely can't wait to jump in and get started on. There was a brilliant one that I saw at Chester Zoo that has multiple different levels, as well as a really granular detail on things like little streams and areas for frogs to breed, and a view into the backstage of where these animals are bred and kept while in the pupa state. And I really want to sort of recreate something like that in this building here and make it an integral part of the zoo, rather than just a leftover from when we were holding some animals and waiting for them to move. Now, as we roll down these stairs here, we're going to emerge into our welcoming plaza. Not too much to change here. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Love the floor texture, love the greenery. I think it's really inviting, it's really warm, it's really open, and it still does capture a lot of that starting zoo vibe. I do think we can do a lot more with these walled gardens though, and I have got a couple of ideas on what I would like to do to really bring in some Europe and Eurasia type animals into the zoo, because a lot of zoos have the staple showcasing animals such as the giraffe and the elephant and the gorilla, but I think we could probably also do some wonderful little habitats for some of the more stranger animals that you don't see very often, and I think that would kind of give us the opportunity to use the idea of these walled gardens in a much more entertaining way. As you can see here, we've got this wonderful natural pond and river rolling around the side of the zoo. The only downside, the thing I'm not a fan of, is that the swans don't ever come around the side, which I think we can change. I think we might just get rid of the swan access completely and keep them as a background bird rather than as a habitat, and then maybe bring a newer showcase entrance animal more to the front of the zoo. We'll see how we go with that as we go through. The idea of this area also was to split up the crowds so that we don't get too many traffic jams. Planetzoos pathing system and guest system, as they use that path, can be a bit of a pain, and I think we might have a little bit more of a way to go. And then inside the aforementioned walled garden, we've got our walkthrough habitat for our badger, our fox, and the deer. Now this one probably won't survive the change. I think this worked originally, but they were too small to see at a distance. They never really liked coming to their little enclosed area because they were quite shy, and unfortunately this netting does not class as a barrier. So whilst it does cover the hard shelter requirement, it certainly means they keep trying to hide. On top of that, unfortunately, just to let you all know, most of our deer and our badger family have died of old age as we've been building. They went a while back now, so this enclosure is pretty much just a couple of deer and then our fox family. And unfortunately, even with our fox family now, we are at a point where Calico, our wonderful piebald fox, has to be popped inside the animal centre anytime I'm not filming her, because she is elderly and will not last much longer. So she's had a lot of children. I've put a lot of children up on the market, and she's had a lot of mutated children as well, so a lot of different variants, which is great, but this may be the last time that she is on camera. Now moving on from some of our earlier habitats to our South American area, and it's time to announce that we are going to be calling our wonderful new building the Maravilla Amazon House, fresh off the votes from you guys down on the poll on the community section. I will certainly be getting a brand new signage made up for the front of the building here. I might need to make a bit more space because it's got to fit on that white bit at the front of the door, which I don't know if that will. It's quite a long word, but I believe it also means wonders, and obviously the whole name would then be the Wonders of the Amazon. Now before we enter in, just outside we had our little side habitat for our tortoises. These are doing fine. They pop out a lot of babies and I'm constantly having to manage the population a little bit. Weirdly enough, they still draw quite a crowd, which is great. I do think we need to build them a bit of an internal habitat area, as those wooden huts are not going to cut it when it comes round to the snowy British winter. And then, as of last week's episode, we have now finished off this tropical house. Really happy with how it turned out. The outside's relatively unassuming, but we've got our wonderful banners up there. Still need to put a bit of an eating area down in the bottom left there, but we'll get to that. We'll get it finished. However, as far as the habitats go and as far as the inhabitants of those habitats go, I think we are just about done. I'm really happy with it. It turned out very well. I'm glad I took the time and spread it out over a couple of episodes. There are some tweaks, there are some decoration that I still want to do, and I'm going to do that off camera, and we'll have a bit of a recap once that's all finished. But as far as it goes, I think this represents certainly where my mind is, where the habitat, certainly some of the later ones, are more geared towards the guests and the visitors having an experience and seeing the animal from angles that they wouldn't normally get to see them. Some of the pictures and the view lines on the inside, certainly with this giant glass tank showing off this little snippet of the rainforest, are just amazing. The effects of the mist and the smoke at the top, the tunnel for the otters to swim through behind the habitat, the different height levels, so being able to see under the water and also from above the ground level. All of it comes together to create an experience that realistically, if this was somewhere real, I probably would spend most of the day in just seeing all the different animals and all from the different angles that you can see them from. It has also ignited a little bit of a love for the crocodilian family that we've got here. So we've got two different caimans. They are really, really well animated in this type of habitat. They swim about, they come down, they play about in front of the glass, and it's not something I've ever seen because any other habitat I've made for them has always just been a pond or a river, whereas this actively shows off their underwater antics, and I think it just looks great. And that pretty much rounds off the zoo so far. I mean, what do you guys think? Have you enjoyed it so far? Is it worth continuing? I hope it's worth continuing. I certainly plan on continuing. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your feedback. Let me know what you would like to see going forward with Wildlands Zoo. Do you want more detail? Do you want more fantasy? Do you want more whimsy? Do you want more episodes, longer episodes, shorter episodes, anything? Just let me know in the comments below. Now is the time to influence how we go forward into season 2 and what changes we make to it. In the meantime, whilst we have a small break with Wildlands, I have plenty of other Planet Zoo projects in the work. I do want to do some more of those modular backstages and get them up on the workshop for you all, as well as the potential of Planet Coaster 2 just around the corner. Fingers crossed this weekend we may see it at the Summer Games Fest. But even if not, I have enough ideas for Planet Zoo here that are going to last out at least a year. All that remains is to once again just thank you all so much for joining me on this journey. Thank you all for subscribing, for liking, for commenting and enjoying the channel. I can't wait to keep making more. However, I'll leave you with a couple of the antics of our brand new residents, and I will see you next video. Bye guys.